What is up, sports fans? We are back for another episode of The Fan in the End. I'm your host, as always, Steven Rychel. To the bottom is the man on the mic himself, Mr. Marvin Powell III. Uh, Ben will be joining us very shortly. He got tied up with something. He will be here. No, it's not car trouble this week, folks. I promise. He will be here. But we do have a guest joining us today, Mr. Tomaz Janas.
Tomaz Janas or TJ, either or works.
And he's working on something that I believe should help athletes in so many different ways. So it's going to be definitely an intriguing conversation here on the South Florida Tribune today. But with that being said, let me get into the sponsor read. And each and every episode here on the South Florida Tribune is brought to you by Fight Wax. Fight Wax is the ultimate skincare defense, help treat cuts, swelling, scrapes, and abrasion, rejuvenates and restores stress skin. Customers has used for soreness, stiffness, and recovery. Designed for athletes of all active lifestyles. Provides an ultra silky, non-greasy feel, deep hydration for everyday skincare. Help fight dry skin. Customers have used for eczema, psoriasis, and other skin disorders. And when you guys head over to the website, use that code SFT15FW. Show our guys some love over there in Fight Wax, and obviously want to give Lincoln some love too. Also, he helped set us up with Tomaz today. So let's kind of get into this, Tomaz. I mean, obviously, you're up there in the great state of Canada, so you don't get quite the level of football that we get down here in North America, but Tell us about what you're doing and how's it going to help the everyday athlete.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure, honor to be with you guys. It's a great opportunity for us to kind of present ourselves on your platform. And of course, thank you to your sponsor, the Fight Wax. I'm very big, I'm very well good. I'm connected with them. They help me lots in connections in the sports here in Canada. So thank you very much to the sponsors as well. First of all, my main objective way, I come from the background of the 33 years of coaching, and being the technical director and have opportunity to work with athletes in the multiple sports. The main reason what I identify through my career of coaching is objectivity based of the one man or one man's opinion or woman's opinion of the athletes who they are. That was my number one problem. And I tell you the truth, NFL became the inspiration for me. The NFL combines particularly. The NFL combines, it became big inspiration behind when I built this system. Because I didn't have to have a concept of proof anymore because it's already done in an extremely big stage. The linguistic data generations, it already exists for years in NFL. NFL combines doing it, particularly in the baseline testing. What it was a new concept. The concept what I developed over time is to understand how to interpret the data properly, who is useful for the coaches, managers, and the athletes themselves in a safe environment. So I combine the logic and layers for athletes to understand what those metrics actually mean over time and how they can be applied and how we can use those particular numbers for the future development, injury prevention, and a safe return to play. And that was the most important aspect for me, based on my own experiences living in multiple countries and playing, and the same time have a 33 years of experience coaching with hundreds of athletes, or even thousands for that matter, on a part. So that was the behind the long story to bring in. NFL has lots to do with it, the way how they structure the combine. If you're looking the 40 dash, why this is the average distance, the runs what comes in between the stuff. So everything is a law of mathematics and physics, right? So it becomes very, very clearly for me, if I want to solve this problem and address this problem and help athletes, I have to make something what is measurable, repeatable, and the most important, extendable by the athletes. They can understand exactly how we can help the athletes, organizations to be ready, to how to eliminate the risk, how to implement proper recovery and performance throughout measurable intelligence.
Now, when we set this up, your Lincoln sent me a few of these graphs, right? So, obviously this one is a boxer. How are you using this is another one of the athletes. How are you using these metrics, and how should the athletes look at these things? How is this going to help a team with injury prevention, or to see if this guy has the right measurables to make this team, whether we're talking football, baseball, hockey, etc. What are some of those things that are going to help that?
So so the first image what you show is a true metric and scouting report for Jordan. That's one here. So
Yeah.
that fight camp was 12 weeks long. So
Okay.
she was tested in every 2 weeks and the readiness. And during that fight camp, she also has an illness, what the system was capable of identifying, and it's an immune system suppressions. So what happens was we're capable of deloading her to make sure the loads and prioritizations shift in that particular week when she was sick, and still continue training, but not burning her to the position where she can actually derail her fight come into the day where she needs to arrive and a peak performance. So what we do, we based on the metrics, we engineer the performance so prioritizations arrive in a time when it needs to be, not early, and at the same time we don't burn her out so she peak early and goes to the fight exhausted.
I know,
So
Marvin, you got a couple questions, right, brother?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess TJ, my first thing is, how did you get into this, and like, what is your background that got you set up for this? Like, did you go to school for this? Were you a
okay.
former athlete who was inspired by a trainer or a coach? Like, how did you get involved in all this?
Okay. So I'm an ex-professional football player, soccer player for that matter. So I
Okay.
live in these 8 countries before I came to North America. So I have a quite extent. I left home from the communist country of Poland when I was 16 years old. And so I had opportunity to travel around the world and play for the different organizations. But I also come from the athletic background in our family as well. I'm not the only one who play in a professional level as well as either. So I kind of grew up in that environment. But the inspirations about the system, I had the opportunity a few years ago to meet a gentleman from Seattle, Sports and Science. His name is Jeff Alger. We had the opportunity to meet, and he developed the soccer distribution ball machine called the Victa 2. And I was flying from Edmonton to Seattle weekly to his facility to work and write the program for that particular ball machine so he can duplicate the distribution of the ball of the everyday soccer player, the curve, the speed, the pounds, the force, everything else. So he was the ex-engineer for the Microsoft in the Seattle plant. So they were very highly intellectual people there who lives in the science and analytics on their own. So by hanging around with them I was involved with them close to probably about 10, 11 years. So I had opportunity to witness how they approaching analytics based on science to build the machines and the functionalities and how they work. And I fell in love with the abilities. Before the wearables were wearables, they already had a prototypes of the wearables 11, 12 years ago. I seen them on my own eyes how they were testing in their own facilities. So I fell in love with. I met the engineer from India, Shiba, who was very. He traveled to Edmonton, visit me numerous times as well. Mr. Jeff Alger from he came. He travels here numerous times. As we spend lots of time. So they kind of got me into this entire science of sports. And so from there, I went to U.S. Soccer Federation, and I of course passed all my licenses as a professional goalkeeping license, the USSF A license, and then I had Then I took the master degree in coaching and a leadership at University of Delaware. And Dr. Matthew Robinson was my professor, and my mentor was somebody from as actually was Mr. Andrew Donrich from the Sacramento, who is also a consultant for the U.S. Olympic Committee. So I had a really access to the very incredible people who kind of I was allowed to evolve on all aspects of sports. And of course, some of part of those programs was psychology, analytics. And then when I took a USSF master program, and I got my master degree, and one of the program it was an optional analytics in sports. It was done through the Scottish Football Federation from Scotland. So I took level 1, 2, and 3, and that's the way how it kind of evolved from there. And I'm right in this moment. I'm a consultant to one of the IT schools here. So I teach that particular software development, cybersecurity. So I teach as a consultant basis in the schools as well as a capstone program.
Now, do you have relationships with like player agents? Like how are you connecting with athletes? How are athletes finding you?
So
And
yeah, so because I have a 30 years of coaching experience, 33 years. So I was working with the Canadian Soccer Association. I was working University of Alberta Golden Bears for almost 17 years. So I have a post-secondary education. I have a connection with a lot of coaches in NCAA. A lot of my athletes, particularly football players, have a full scholarship. I think I have over 100 athletes who is them Texas Tech, Memphis, Arizona States, like those football players who play for our national teams. So through the years, I have abilities to connect with the multiple different sources of coaches and agents in Europe and U.S. universities and Canadian universities. So the 33 years, I think my background in sports becomes very handy to this. I'm not your typical developer. I'm not a guy who becomes a software developer. I became my passion project was to help the athletes based off how the athlete thinks and what I would do for myself if I had opportunity to do it first. So I'm a very unique in that particular aspect because what happened is I don't have your typical IT degree. I have a coaching degrees, and I'm a former player and former coach and a technical director. So everything what I approach is from those backgrounds versus IT backgrounds. I always put the players first. So what does that mean is how would that affect me if I do that? So the question becomes first before the answer.
so when I hear you say all this stuff, when I look at these graphs, it makes sense now that you have players like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers who are playing long. We're seeing the development of sports science, sports technology, and just being able to prolong the athlete. Do you feel like that's really a big part of what you guys are doing is helping the athlete just last longer and play longer and compete at a higher level for a longer time?
This is exactly what we're doing. This
Yeah.
is so we call the linguistic athletes development program. That's mean we take it from adolescence, from the childhood to adolescence to the universities to pros. And so why we're looking through that? Why is this is important to us? The sooner we can identify the shortcoming of the athlete's development, the sooner we can address them and correct them over time. So too many athletes, for example, I'm just not gonna. Let's say, for example, you have the athletes who has in my eyes and in your eyes has a lot of potentials. We both look at it, and we said we both agreed as athletes has a potential. But this is what I learned through the football. When I was part of the national development program for Canada for soccer, we have something called scouting weekends. Scouting weekends, it was every 6 weeks, you bring in top 60 athletes for Western Canada to the one place and they showcase the skills and a test. Upstairs in a press box, it was 17 coaches. We all watched the same game. How come our reports are different? The
Right.
athlete is the same. How come they're different? So that subjective part was not sitting with me very well. Because what me and you consider 3, somebody else can consider 1.5 or 5. And now we have a debate. And the worst part is based on one man's or woman's opinion. And that's all it is. But if you take into consideration, and I believe you gentlemen playing professional sports for years, take into consideration how many athletes will lost or fell between the cracks because of one woman's opinion, with the potentials what they have.
Well, and the other thing we think about that is something me and Marvin and Ben talk about all the time. We have this saying in football, this guy's a bust, right? But no one takes into account that the player that we're calling a bust went to a team that has a bad coach, a bad team, a bad front office. But we're telling the world this guy's a terrible player. And then we see said terrible player go to another team, another city, and they all of a sudden they're the player that everyone thought they were.
I agree with you, but it's the same thing with a Tom Brady. He was 199 pick, and how many number 1 picks going bust based on a scouting, right? So the bottom line is that ideology is here. Put the athletes first. The metrics won't guarantee you anything, but it gives you a higher chance of probabilities, and that's the only thing you can ask. When we're scouting the goalkeepers, for example, and to predict the goalkeepers in the age of 12, how he's going to be in 21 is a very difficult. Now we have to go through the growth plates, take a look at it, what potential height he's going to have, historical genetics of his mother and father. It's like we got to take a look at it to all those objectives. 12 years old is 4'8", and we got to figure out if he's going to be 6'7", plus his technical and tactical skills. So the scouting overall in that young age is extremely difficult. Right?
So do you think this is also a good tool that you could give, I guess, the traveling dads and moms of your other sports, of hockey, of football, baseball, that give them a better window on where they believe their child is and where I guess your program is going to suggest that they could potentially be?
Actually, the actual entire player. So we call this player's passport. So the player's passport is a data which is collected over time, and it transformed through the graphs to understand linguistic part of the development of these athletes. So the parents have their own logging system where they can go in and track by the permission, track the player's development. There is a simplicity to understand where my child is and what a shortcoming he has. And interpretation of it is, what does that mean? And that becomes the most important aspect. What does that mean to the parent? If my child is underdeveloped, or let's say in a fitness program, on a strengths and a lower body extremities, on a change of directions, or the power generations or transformation of power. They don't know that. Becomes too complicated for them. So what they need to know is, okay, well, where's my child most importantly fits in to the structure of that sport? And most important, where his targets, what we try to achieve to get him to give him the best opportunities to do it. So if you're looking on an entire development scope, it's a long-term development program for us is the most important. Injury prevention, the return to play, return to play, or return to performance is probably the most important aspect for us, because this is what happens when we overload athletes and they're going into burnout stages. Suddenly, we become so defensive. Oh, wow, he is not as good when they used to be. Okay, well, do you even have idea why? You're the one who coached them. So for example,
now here's my thing, because you just talked about the injury aspect of it. Say we, you're sent, Patrick Mahomes or Micah Parsons. These guys just blew out their knees last season. How is what your program going to help them in that recovery process?
Okay, So I'm going to make perfectly, so I want to make sure we make a big distinction here, okay? We do not replace the doctors or physiotherapists. We give the information for the athletic therapist, coach, and the players himself. So the medical examinations, conclusions belongs to the professional people who are dealing with the health of those athletes. When they return from the doctor diagnosis, they return from the rehab, and they return, and I'm sure that Ben and Marvin can say that when you're returning back to your team, you have to go on a practice roster, and then you have to have a slow return to play. That's correct?
Yeah,
That's
there's a
what
process.
Well, you can do that most of the time. If you're on the team already, you just come back. If you're on the team, baseball is different. They're sending you to the minors. Football, you just come back.
But what I'm trying to say is, your athletic therapist, so they again prepare you to be ready to play. That's correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So that's where we come in. That's where our job starts. Our job starts to help athletic therapists to understand internally where you are versus your peak performance where you were before prior to the injury. And now from there, we engineer you come back in a safe process. So we load you in prioritizations of your loads, so you do not will eliminate the higher chance of injuries when you just came in when it's pushed too hard. Right? So that we come in exactly in this moment. Our job is to supporting the athletes, number one, athletic therapist, number two, and a coaching staff, number three. We interpretation, data generation, and give them the true numbers and understanding where this athlete is right now. Prior, he got injured. So we compare his data pre-injury status and post-injury report and engineer the return to save and to progress to play.
All right, I know you came in a little late. Go ahead, Marvin. I see you got to get something.
You were referencing parents and kids earlier on, and I have a 10-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter, and more so with my son. I wonder if I'm doing too much with him. What age do you think it's appropriate for young people, for young athletes to really get into the training that you're talking about, and the training that's going to help separate them as athletes? What is there an age range that you focus on that you think is appropriate for the training and the weights and the things that you got going on?
So if you don't mind, just ask you the question. You reference I do too much. Would you give me like context what you mean by that?
So I mean I'm saying for me, I wonder if in training my son, if I'm overdoing it sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Just because he's only 10 years old. You know what I mean? And I want to balance between him being a normal 10-year-old kid and a kid who I believe is an elite level athlete for his age range. So we do, the BOSU, and we work in the ladder, and we do different type of just exercises and drills. I mean, we've been on this for years already. He's only 10, but I wonder sometimes if it's too much. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't. I don't see that, but I still wonder that if his body isn't ready for that yet.
Okay, I will use the very simple American analogy. Sha'Carri, the 100 meter sprinter. What do you have? The world champion or Olympic champion?
Yeah, Sha'Carri Richardson.
When you look at her father when he started training her and how, a lot of people would think is insane. How do you think she became the world champion? Not starting in 16.
Right.
So my question to you is this. As a professional athlete, of course, you understand that prior of development was that what you done it. Unfortunately, we're going through the different decades of development. That things change in our life as an athlete. The equipment change, the safety change, the protocols change, right? So also the human psychological setups change as well. So that's mean the athletes, today's athletes, has a different psychological makeup from the athletes from 10, 15, 20 years ago, because the actual environment where they grew up was different. So now you have to take a look at it. You have to combine all those things and say, okay, how this is going to apply to my son. The bottom line is this. Is a 10 years old too early? Absolutely not. What you're looking for is his fire, if he loves it or not. That's what you're looking at. He fell in love in the sport because his dad is a professional athlete. That's a good enough for him to pursue his career. I'm not telling you you have to go and put a helmet and have a tackle on it, but I'm telling you what you're doing, the drills, parametrics, the movements, the sprint, the explosiveness, so forth. This is the fundamental of the sports,
Right.
right? So think about it, how much ahead he will be if he still is loving age of 16, 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted you to say. Thank you, TJ. That's exactly what I needed to hear you say.
He's doubting himself. He's he's being too much of that football dad, and so he's beating it into him.
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's amazing. It's a privilege it's very difficult to grow up, and I can relate to you, Marvin, particularly. I grew up in a quite a sports related family who all play professionally. My uncle played in the World Cup 6 times and got Olympic gold medals with Polish national team, a silver medal in the Mundial 1982 in Spain. He was a head coach of the national Polish team in South Korea. But so when my brother played professional football, so is my cousins. So when you grow up in a family like that, you're always going to be compared to something. You don't stand a chance not to be, right? So, but that's a privilege. But it's a privilege to be in a family like that, because you internally love to do that. And sometimes when we used to come back, I come from a very small farm in Poland. It was like 260 people living in this farm. So we came back when we used to go to grandma, and my grandma was every Sunday we go in on a farm, and my mom has 18 brothers and sisters. I have a 42 first cousins. It's quite a big family, when you can imagine. So when you come to this farm, the natural ways of competing was instilled in us naturally. So it wasn't. I never had to look for competition. I was competing every day in my life. So it was easy, right? It can easy to learn. Sometimes it's very hard to live up to, because you constantly get compared. But at the same time, it's easy to learn. When I came to North America, being East European coach, I was massively misunderstood. So first 10 years, I was judged to be completely different from everybody else, because did not have your typical North American way of thinking, because I never grew up under those type of environments, right? So in Canada, everybody's so polite, and the way how they see an aspect of development, and so I was seen quite an orthodox person to do what I do, and unfortunately, people, I became very comfortable to live in an environment when I'm as much liked and as much hated at the same time. It just comes with the job, right? And you have to be very mentally strong, and having background in psychology becomes very handy, because I can help athletes to maneuver a lot of different things around their life, and the way how they do, and at the same thing, it comes very handy to me as well, how I conduct myself.
All right, I know, Ben, you were a little late. I know you got some questions for Tomaz. So what do you got for us, brother?
I mean, the one that jumps out is something you said about the trainers. You said, it obviously starts with the players first, then you go with the trainers next. But you doing something that trainers don't do. Trainers don't do pre-qualification. They don't do pre-test. They don't do that. They wait till something happens, then they do, which means you're giving them something they don't have, which is nuance. Say, hey, the reason why this athlete is hurt or is getting hurt is because of this. How do you communicate that with the one? Most players only know how bad their head is if they get a concussion. There are no pre-concussion. There are no, let's see how his mind is before he goes in that blue tent. You got to get knocked out. Then they start putting you to the test. How do you convey to these trainers, you guys have no barometer. There is no foundation. You just wait. Yeah, they get hurt. We look at how athletic they are, and then we try to get them back on the field. But we're gonna put them through the same thing we did to get them hurt before. How do you communicate that with the trainers? Let them know you guys' protocols might need to be kind of like fixed a little bit.
Well, it's a two-part question, so I can address the first one. Number one, Without players, there's no athletic therapists. Without players, there's no coaches. Without players, there's no sport. So your number one priority to protect is the player. If you in this sports for something else, you in the wrong business, right? So in the end of the day, everybody can be ego driven, and they can say, "Well, I'm a great coach." Try coach without players, you see how you look, right? So all this argument is pointless. So in the end of the day, if those people don't understand that players become the number one priority, and then they have no business. You won't gonna have a multi-billion-dollar owners without a franchise. You can't have a franchise without athletes. You can build the stadium, they're still empty, right? So my job is those athletic therapists that hire for a reason. Their job is to work for you. What you feel. If they don't, doesn't mean they're not doing the job. If they're not educated enough, go back to school. Right? So in the end of the day, when you get hired, you have to have a set of tools. Now, the part two is going to be a controversial one. Right? So the part two is to react it after the fact is easy. When you drop the ball, when let's say quarterback throwing, you say, "Man, I knew he should run here." You didn't know that prior you throw that ball. You knew it after the fact, right? So just for the athletic therapist to know after you get hit and have a massive concussion, it's another rocket science. It's just a statement of facts. That's all it is. So why we so for example, I'll give you a live example, and this is going to be the best example I can give you. Okay, so a few weeks ago, the scouting report what you show from Jordan, from the boxer, we were preparing her for the title fight.
Yeah,
there was another boxer in the gym who yes, so it was not a boxer in a gym who went in and was sparring weight higher what he is. He got hit harder in the head and suffered a concussion. And his fight for the Golden Gloves was scheduled. They put him in a 2 months protocol, concussion protocol. So he could train, but he cannot spar. So I didn't have any obligation to do anything about it. But I was in the gym at the same time testing Jordan to getting ready for his fight. And I said to myself, you know something, I'm gonna approach him. And I said to him, "Hey, can you can I do the test on you?" He said, "Sure." So we did a neuroscience test using the FitLight. You guys said that's a company from Miami, particularly for the reactions and speed and a part of it. So I put him on a FitLight, and I run a serious test of his neural movements and his reaction time prior to his normal test dropped by 260 milliseconds. It was slower of the response. He never recovered from the concussion, even when the doctor cleared him. So I called the Fight Wax people because they involved in this gym. Mm-hmm. Called the Lincoln. I said, "Hey, listen, you got to make a phone call to the coach. This kid is not ready to go to fight, and he can't. Or you're gonna do more damage to him." And you know something? Power to them. They listen. They come and they pull him off out of the fight because he wasn't ready, right? So there's a ways to identify this, but you have to focus on athletes, not focus on a theory, right? I had his pre-injury data, so it's easy for me to compare what his narrow heads was prior he got injured to something the benchmark what I have after of recovery, right?
See, but you're talking about something that could actually help, hockey teams, football teams with guys with concussions, because a lot of times, Marvin and Ben were just talking about this. They go in the blue tent, and you deal with it after that, that fact when they're on the field. But after the blue tent, let's just sit there and say, doctor says he's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks with the concussion. Well, what happens if you go and look at him at that 2 week point, and you're noticing he's still slower, he's still this. You could actually keep him off the field for another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, until he's back to where his baseline is, and prevent further damages, further concussions, and things of that nature.
What the pro athlete metrics are claiming is a module inside in the pro athlete metric system himself. It's a return to play and return to perform system. It's his job. It's exactly that. It's exactly what you just described. That's the system's job, to identify repeatable patterns versus your benchmark prior to the injury. It's a very simple concept. It's not a, I didn't invent anything. We can collect the data for centuries. The problem is, can you interpret and know what that means? That's your problems lays down. It's not because, any coach, we grab the 2 cones and a stopwatch. And from the starting point to the end point, there's a data set. Okay, it's a fragmented one-time data. What are you going to do with it? You're going to put them on a spreadsheet? And then what? Right? So that's what it becomes different. I don't know if I can show you something to even have an idea, but I can show you more just to give you an idea how I compare things to the other things, right? So this is aspect of it, it becomes lots more easy to deal with it. And it's important with the concussion protocols particularly. NHL has those, and NFL has those. NHL players who get hit directly into the head has to leave to be assessed. The phone call comes from Toronto. You gotta leave the bench, go to the dressing room. It's the law. NFL concussion protocols is a law. Why we made them the law? Because we learned from the past what happened. 100%. But the part of it, what you just said, is very important. Is you said, doctor said maybe 2 or 3 weeks. The trick with a concussion is this. Your body is the only one who tells you you're ready or not. There's no medication for it, hospitalization for it, or anything else for it. That's me in predictions, it becomes unpredictable. Because each athlete will respond differently to the recovery of his concussions. So the way to say, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, that's great. But in the end of the day, you still have to have some tests to be run, and we do those. And a lot of organizations do those. They care about those type of things. I'm not saying they don't. The problem what they don't have a linguistic data over time to understand internal aspect of these athletes, how he feels and responds on a peak of his performance versus his injury. Where are we at? What is the distance between those things means? Right? Like, what is the gap? Why is gap there? And what does that mean to me particularly? So interpretation of the data becomes extremely important. And to know, understanding to do. And I think that's why a lot of organizations and the developers have a problem, because they think only in the base on product himself, not about the athletes. The one things what I look at athletes first, because I am the ex-professional athlete. I know what happens to me. I was a coach and a technical director who coached thousands of athletes. I see them every single day, coaching them 5-6 hours per day. So the ideology was to find a problem, find a solution for the problem who exists for decades. And that's how this entire project was born. I wrote that program for 4 years, and I didn't even know what to do with it. Because I wrote it, I had no idea. And you believe it or not, I only wrote it for my own academy. That should be never released. I didn't know I'm gonna go farther with that when I want. I wrote it for me and for athletes who I coach. When I was started developing, I understood I accidentally stumbled on something bigger in me, right? And I didn't know that when I started. Over time, doing the test runs, doing the control environment rollouts, when I was starting understanding, he said, oh, wow. He said, this data set showing completely different things what I thought they're going to do. And I was to keep learning. And so I decided to concentrate on the athletes as the athletes themselves, not on the sports. So right now we do martial arts sports, we do boxing, soccer, hockey, basketball, volleyball, and football. From now to 2027, that's the primary sports where we're focusing on. And then we're focusing on aspect of it is what those athletes have in common if it comes to the development, predictable patterns and the pattern recognitions. Why the football player and a volleyball player and a soccer player, can we identify it in a younger age, what they have in common, what they make him to become to this level? Can we identify the true athletes himself first before we specialize in the discipline sports he played? What the common factors they have. So when I would start doing studies and start doing the research and start doing the data, and it was very important for me to look at the athletes himself first. And he said, so then I look at the sports he played. And that's how I was capable of coming on with the benchmarking systems and so forth for the sports. And NFL, like I said before, NFL combines has lots to do what I do. It's because that's give me the inspirations to really look deeper what the NFL already is doing for years. Right?
Marvin, anything you wanna throw in here too?
No, I mean, really, I'm just taking it in. I asked some of the things I was thinking about, but really, I guess my big thing is, TJ, do you see yourself aligning? I know you're used to play soccer, but do you see yourself aligning more with a specific sport, or do you just see yourself doing what you've been doing, I guess, and dealing with just multiple athletes in different areas? Because I would think that you'd be more inclined to want to focus on soccer, but I hear you talking about seeing a need in football after going through the combine experience, or just understanding the combine experience.
Yeah. So gives you the true answer to this is, the system is built so universal, is adaptable, customization to every single sport in the world. So give you example. Let's say you run a football academy and you come to me and he said, hey, TJ, I really like your intelligent players management system, what you have, what has the metrics and injury preventions and prioritizations and so forth, the metrics of. So and he said to me, this is how I would like to measure my athletes and benchmark in my academy. And as long as scientifically I can prove your standards are correct and align with your governing bodies, NFL, NCAA in football, whatever it may have, I can develop the custom tests for you to suit your academy. The reason why we were stuck for 4 years to write this program, because I knew when the first time when the program was released, it has a preload tests. And I did not like that at all. What happens in the governing body comes in NFL, he said, hey, today we're doing the 40-yard dash and a split time. But 10 years from now, something, those old metrics are not good for us. Then we have another test. So my system suddenly become frozen because you can adapt to it. I give you the aspect of the football, soccer players. A standard for the endurance used to be yo-yo test. To beep test first. And the beep test becomes so unrealistic, then we change to the yo-yo test. And then later to Cooper test, right? So suddenly, if you preload one of those tests and make it as a hard copy, and that's how your system runs, then what happens is your system, it becomes very limited to what he can do. So it was very important for us to be diversified. And football players particularly, because you have such a massive roster, you're dealing with such a different positioning. You're dealing with the impact of sport. The MMA players, the UFC players, the football players. When you do mistake, it hurts. It really hurts because it's an impact. When you get hit in boxing because you can't guard yourself, physically hurt. If you open with your head down and you put into the tackle with open body, not when your shoulders and legs power, it will hurt and takes your wind out of you. When you have a head-to-head impact, even if you wear a helmet, it will hurt. So the sports where we have those, you got it outside of the technique and tactics you will teach, you also have to take into consideration the impact of this sport on the health of the athletes himself and how you keep them healthy for the longest period of time as you can. And anybody knows who has a professional contract. And he said, the idea is to stay healthy enough, long enough to be considered to be a professional athlete, because you're going to go through the hell and back before you become one. And if you cannot sustain and preserve that, it becomes very, very difficult. So just to story for you, this is going to be open to absolutely every sport who is measurable. It's not going to be one. So right now we're in a control rollout. We have 7 partners, 2026. We have 7 partners with control rolling out, from hockey to soccer to, we have a boxing, MMA, bare knuckle competitions, UFC fighters. So what we're doing is we're really controlling. It's no longer the proof of concept. We already have that. We don't worry about proof of concept. What we're really looking at is that the system can identify the athletes, who they are. Can they learn after each data point is entered? How they can interpret when we're adding the data, what the system can see, and it can identify the changes in athletes himself. And most important part is, can, after all this data is collected, interpretation comes and is helpful for the athlete and for the coaching staff. They can use this to their advantage to structure the practices based on. The beauty part is we took 22 individual tests from the one team, from the roster of the one team, and we ran it to a system. So they give us all the reports, and we took six tests and rolled. So we have 6 data points times 22 players, and then we took all those reports and we spin them in through a system, and literally it give us the identity of this team, who they are. We knew 7 out of 22 players was underperforming under the benchmark in endurance. We knew 6 out of 22 had a really poor change of direction. We knew 22 out of 22 can sprint at 10 yards, but the metrics drop after that. We knew 11 had they have a difficulty generating power vertically. So suddenly, when we combine all the reports, then we have entire cohorts of the team and his identity, and DNA. And we present it to the coach, not just individual reports, but also the reports of the team where he stands right now. And when you have this report, then you look at your team identity and you look at your DNA of your team, and he said, holy crap, this is what I'm losing in the second half. Because half of my athletes they way below the benchmark in endurance. I start the game great, but then I'm running out of power. So how you correct that? Number one, you can implement the training sessions and prioritizations to have all the exercises and drills run, so the endurance concept is included. Number two, maybe you're looking different substitutions when the way how you strategically, tactically take the players before they run out of power and you become liability, right? So it's a lot of you can have applications that best how you approach your own coaching style. Our job is to give you the true information based on facts, not on opinion. Everything what comes in is the athlete's data. That's it. And we're the one who interpret, measure, make sure over time is a repeatable, is a scientifically credible, and the purity of the data is the most important aspect for us. It's very easy to flood the system with the garbage data and you think you're a hero. You're lying to yourself. It's not going to help. It's not going to help you. Eventually, there's a reason why combines has a problems right now, because they have a one single measurement. Is a fragmented. It's a difference to have a data set for 10 years when your son, for example, is 10 years old. Do you imagine when I test him every 8 weeks and he applied recommendation of the system, how to develop? Do you imagine what happened when he's 18? You have his entire, if you go to any agent and you show consistency of development over 8 years of your son, where he is to the benchmark, the money flow on his own, if it comes to the scouting, is no longer opinion. It's the fact what you did with your son since he's 10. It's not opinion. And that's a big difference, particularly in the scouting. Because in the end of the day, you get paid money on the predictabilities, not an opinion. Right? So that's what we're working for.
Ben, anything you want to add?
Yeah, but see, TJ, you and I'm listening to you, and I agree with you. You say it's rooted in fact. We are not talking about people that want facts. They want what they've done and have had success with it, and then you come in with something saying, "Well, you've had success doing it off what you feel, especially scouting, because the only way to get to the National Football League is college. Ain't most guys ain't going pro. You come in and say, look, out of your 15 guys is entering the draft, 5 of them got a shot to be a pro. This is what the facts say. This is what my metrics say. Because when you get to talk about coaching, and Marv know this, nobody does what they feel more than a coach. It ain't. They got numbers guys in the room. I don't know if they're listening to them like they should, because I agree with you. If my father is a professional athlete, if anybody knows, he knows, because he's giving you what he knows and what he's researching. Well, just listening to you talk about your metric system, have you run into coaches or teams that got the facts right there in front of them, but they go, yeah, we like this, but we gonna go with what we've been doing for the last 20 years. Because I know a dude by the name of Emory Hunt. He has this thing called a football game plan. He does not like the combine. He says combine is a waste of time. You already know what players you're gonna draft. It's the short Olympics. They're gonna, fast guys gonna run fast, strong guys gonna lift. TJ, what do you say to them coaches who are very pessimistic? And I'm not even talking about good ones now. I'm talking about ones that they made it to the big times, haven't had the success, but they still won't implement something that you have that can not only help their players play longer, but help their team play better.
Do you want a sugar-coated version or true version?
Man, I work. But listen, I want you to. I know. Listen, we ain't no bakery. You don't got to sugarcoat it. Tell me what it is.
Okay. You're in entertainment business. You're not in sport. There's a big difference. When you implement the relegation and promotion system, when you get punished when you play shitty, then we'll have a conversation. Okay? In the end of the day, those coaches paying for their jobs because they're in an entertainment business. There's a big difference between a sport. In Europe, when you play in a league, in a Serie A, or you're playing in La Liga and a Bundesliga, when you suck, you get relegated and $1 billion are missing. Okay? Take a look at your NCAA programs. How many are on the verge of bankruptcy? They're cutting the programs now. You're going to have it. The bottom line is difference between a sport and sports. You can be world champion when you have only one league. And the World Cup has 212 countries. That's a world champion. Okay? So, and unfortunately, in North America, it's an entertainment business. That's a big difference between a sport. Your job is to entertain people through sport, not to play sport. And that's unpopular to millions of people, and they don't want to admit it. You can be world champion in baseball when you have the same damn teams playing all the time and the rest of the world doesn't participate. Okay? So we cannot have that. So the fact is, when a coach doing and playing for his job, his job is there. I have a 5-year contract. As long as I'm playing this part, and as long as I can be in the midst of something, I'll be great. You look at the NHL, Edmonton Oilers have the 2 of the best players in the world. I live in this city. We were in the last place for 12 years. You know how we got punished? Give us the number 1 picks. That's a punishment. You're serious? If you last place, you don't belong in this league. Period. And we were selling every single night. It's the entertainment, not a level of play. There's a big difference between one and another. Right? So in the end of the day, when you truly ask me, said, why the coaches don't listen, they're going to have to. They have no choice. Because the metrics right now, no organizations in the world, when you start bleeding money and you know yourself, the money will talk. When you're going to have a few hiccups, when your number 1 picks, when you invest the money, going to be bust, then you're going to start looking for the solutions. The rest of the world, The biggest clubs in the world, Real Madrid, Barcelona, if you go to the analytics rooms, they multi-million dollars development rooms when it comes into that. Because now it's very hard to pay for. Think about the Lionel Messi who comes in. He came to Miami FC. He doesn't have to play. He sold enough jersey in day one to pay for his entire contract. It's a problem solved. It's not really becomes a different. And in Barcelona, you got to play to earn that money. Right? It's a big difference. So if talking to you, you're absolutely right. Our system is not to replace coaches. And my God, we have no right to even replace them. Our system is to help them to learn about the athletes who they coach and giving them the best opportunity to be the best version of themselves, how they fit to their system of play. If you have information, I'm going to give you the information, okay? I trade financial markets for a living every day. That's what I have extraordinary pattern recognitions. I watch the chart 16 hours a day. I can identify the market movements and the behaviors based on different times of the day, what happens to them. Over time, 6-7 years, I can tell you the NASDAQ is going to behave in a certain days in a certain way. Why? Because I have 25 years of data. And I know what's going to happen on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday. What the market's going to do. And at 80% of the time, that's probability factor. That's what we know through the data, what it comes in. And NFL football is no different. How come Tom Brady comes from 199th place, he become number one quarterback in the Hall of Fame in the world, and sometimes you have a number one picks and then nowhere to be found? So those people who so-called experts, when they go and do that, what they basing their opinion on? They're going to sit in the stands, they take a look at it and say, combines are not important. Okay, so if you go and look at him play, and let's say he's from any of your universities, and he comes from any university in the world, in the United States, and he said, well, I don't care, we already know who he is. Because people who coached him before, they're the one who measure how fast he is. They're the one who measure, can he change the directions. They're the one who had the data on a school to make sure he's capable of doing that. You just got a ready product so you can move him to the next level. Right? You didn't took that child from 10 years old and did this and make him an NFL player. Somebody else did it. What you're doing right now, you just take it and you say, oh, well, I like him. Okay. So that's great. I like him too. Now, can you tell me what his prediction is going to be? Can you tell me how he's going to compete? And then when he's the best, where is all those players, all those so-called scouts? Where are they? Suddenly, wow, he has a different lifestyle. He didn't follow this. Suddenly, it's always excuses to something on it. That's what is quite different. It's a lot of controversy and it goes against this. And everybody, we use the metrics every day in our life. You know that? Think about this. Why you think you have to sleep 6 to 8 hours? Because somebody studied this is the optimal time of rest, what you need. Why you gotta drink 8 ounces of water every single day? Because somebody studied this is required for hydration, is what you needed. Why you need to walk 3 miles or mile per day? Because it's good for your health and a 30 times in a minute. Because somebody has this data. We use the metrics every day and you don't even realize it. You just never thought about that way. But we use that in everyday life. You use the metrics. So the sooner you open your eyes. For you to stand up and be in balance, your body has to have an equal amount of pressure on the right foot and the left to keep you in balance. Metric.
So I got one last one for you, Thomas, before we do our.
Well, I got one too, so it won't be the last one, but go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
So now we've talked about different ways you can use it, different ways it could be done. Let's say, for argument's sake, I come in, I'm the new general manager of the 76ers, and I'm hiring your team, Thomas, and I want you to figure out where Joel Embiid is the most optimal at. What can we do to keep him on the floor for 82 plus games and have him perform at his peak? Because I'm sick of my fan bases destroying the organization because this man can't stay healthy, can't stay on the floor.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you right now. Number one, where this player came from. That's important because they have a data what I need.
So what was it, Cameroon and Kansas?
Okay, so if they don't, so for example, he came in and you come in and he said, well, we test them. The one event, it's only 1 point data point. It's a fragmented illusion of the player's performance. Anybody can throw the 100. For example, if the football terms, when you see the quarterbacks who go long and they hit 65, 70 yard spiral ball who goes beautifully into the end zone and goes into it. Now, that's a one data point. Can you repeat this 100 times? Then I tell you, can you do or not? Right? So the bottom line is that one test, what you're asking me, is only give you the baseline what you receive that player from. From here, we would test them over time, take a look at his stance, how he adapted to the practice of this organization on this coach. We're going to identify what his strengths is, what he needs to work on it. We will present the data to the head coach and assistant coaching staff, athletic therapist, how to handle him, where he is today. And then we predict the coach's vision when he needs to be and develop based on the distance how he needs to arrive there in a safe way. That's our job. But we can't do it because he arrived from someplace and we have no idea what his statistics are. And because doing one test, he said, hey, today he runs Sha'Carri trains since he's 4 with his father. 4 years old to be a world champion in a 22. And her entire performance is a 6.9 seconds. Right? So this is so you work that long for that little. And you're pursuing that goal for the rest of your life. So when you're asking me 76ers, when they come in and they have these athletes, when you got them and you want to keep him, then you got to make sure you look where he is, look at his strengths and weaknesses, interpret what that means to 76ers organization, take a look at the philosophy of the coaching staff, and take a look we compare all those things and look, and now we said, okay, how we keep him healthy, what type of regime programs he needs to have, where his weaknesses are, where his strengths are, what we can load more and not, what his psychological stage is, where he is leaking under psychology under high pressure performance. That's something what we didn't touch today yet. The psychological impact on a player's performance. That's can depleting you energy faster than a physical hit. Right? And we didn't even talk about that yet.
So TJ, and that's actually where I was going. I was going to ask you, do you bring in the mental aspect of being a competitor and athlete? Do you evaluate anything there, or is everything physical, all the metrics based on the physical?
No, SSR5 is a psychology test. So it gives you the metrics. Let me see if I can pull that on that. If I don't know if I can share the screen with you. I can show you the rates. So the profit metrics is developed in a 3 modules, and there's a very important aspect of the module. So profit metrics is defined. So is a profit metrics is a module who takes the measurements and capability of the athlete where he is today. Proactive metrics reclaim is a readiness monitoring the readiness and return to play protocol. So what happens? Reclaim himself. What happens when you got injured and we need to return you to your peak performance? That system will monitor your entire return to play and performance. And then it's PAM execute, proactive metrics execute, and analyze decision performance, analyze decision process under stress. So how can you perform in a high pressure environment, how your decision making, how quick they are under this environment. When you're leaking under stress, you're leaking mentally under stress performance. Then the stress has an impact on your physical outputs. So there's a lot of that stuff. We monitor the athletes on it. So think about you going to the doctor. The doctor is the expert. That's correct. We agree all to that. A doctor is the expert. That's correct. But then the doctor gives you the clipboard. And on this clipboard, you have to answer numerous questions. And those questions is, from 1 to 10, how much pain you feel today? Why do you think doctor asked you this question? If he's the expert, why in the hell he needs that answer? Because he needs to know mentally how you feel. It's not a metrics to it. You're going to tell him between 6 to 8. Well, what does that mean? That means the 5 is a middle zone. You're more in pain and you're not. That's what he needs to know. And when he gonna exam to you and you move your feet and your extraordinary pain comes in, now he understands. He said, okay, that's where the physically pain comes from. Psychologically, patient told me his pain is 8. So it's extraordinary. We take all those metrics. The problem what we have, and it was this problem for 40 years we're dealing in sports, for decades. Can anybody then can interpret them and tell the true athletes and the coaching staff what the hell it means? And how they can help me today and how I can help me this for the future. And that's the reason why it took me so long to write this program. It took 4 years. And I sit in my office day and night, and my wife used to tell me, said, like, what you doing there? And I was compiling notes to all the notes and trying to find a philosophy, how I can help the athletes. And I always put the athletes first. That was the main objective. So we put everything from the physical, psychological, and outputs to all the metrics. We need to look at the entire athlete himself. If the one of them is missing, you have incomplete athlete.
Very good.
So TJ, with that being said, though, do you think that professional athletes need, I'm trying to say this right, with mental health being such a big thing, do you think we got athletic trainers, we got nutritionists, we got assistant coaches, we got analysts, do professional athletes from a holistic, because the mind is what's going to control a lot, do you think mental health specialists should be a part of professional athletes day to day, or should be a part of the staff?
There's already is a sports psychologist.
Yeah, but they don't make them talk to them.
Okay, so back again, you're talking about decision-making people, right? They don't make them talk to you. That's what you mean. Okay.
Yep.
So now you're speaking about the structure of the governing bodies and organizations, right? So who are they? They the one who. What was the reason they won't make the talk to them if they have it available? You need to ask yourself a question: is it inconvenience? Or they afraid what they're gonna say? They're gonna pull them out of the roster, but that's gonna impact my roster. How I gotta play that player? You gotta ask yourself that question first.
But I think that's it. The second part, if most of the things that happen on a football team or a team, a coach can he got a little bit of knowledge about. You start talking about the mind, start talking about the neurologist, start talking about another expert. That neurologist who gonna say something to tell the coach, hey man, he's gonna need more of this. And I got TJ's metrics that back this up. It's one thing, like you say, the one thing you're doing, TJ, what I appreciate, you taking the opinion out. No, this ain't my opinion I'm giving you, right?
No.
I'm saying, like you just said, when it comes to American sports, it's entertainment. You start going about overseas, hey man, this is the business. We ain't got time to play over. You get entertained, but it's a different level of expectation when you're talking about the World Cup. Well, over here, when a coach has the numbers, the metrics, and it's saying this player, not all of it, but this particular player right here, for him to maximize his or her potential, they need to be talking to a psychiatrist. That's going to be a part of them performing. And I do agree. I don't know who that they are. If I find who they is, just like you, TJ, I'm gonna beat the hell out of them too. I don't know who they are, but they do exist, and they report to the coach. I'm saying if your metrics say this is what Marvin Powell the fourth needs to be the best athlete, no, the best player he can be. Do you think that more professional teams need to have an expert on staff that is being utilized just like a nutritionist?
So the short answer is very quickly. Psychiatrist is a doctor who prescribes the medication. Psychologist is the one who
Psychologist, yes.
So the sports psychologist and the majority of the environments across the world is already applications inside in the sport. It's already there. This is nothing new. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay? You as an athlete and you play a former player, how many times you visualize prior to the game what you're going to do?
Every time.
Very good. So now, so we did this test with Jordan, the one where you showed me the report. I said to Jordan, can you come in and can you clench your fist and then show me the power of your right hand? She comes in and she shoots 76 pounds. I said, okay, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to visualize you in a fifth round of the fight. And at this moment, you're losing this fight. You need to leave this round for what has had an impact on the judges. And I want you to finish the last 15 seconds. Visualize yourself, you hitting that opponent. When you see her to hit her, clench your fist. 83.6. How come? I didn't do nothing. I didn't lift weight. I did not put her in a gym. Only thing I did, put him in a different state of mind. That's it. To generate more power. That's all I did. So if you coach as a psychologist or not, or has the ability of background in sports psychology, we're already using that. Now, do you utilize the separate output? You have an actual staff member who is a sports psychologist. That's an organization structural fact, not mine. So for me, I took on my own to have a background in sports psychology because being technical director and a coach is important for me to understand my athletes. It's extremely important if I have to coach them and give them to produce them to NCAA level or to professional levels. I can't do that without that knowledge how they function. So in your opinions there, we're already using that to a certain extent. And the coaches managers in a professional sports, particularly in the United States, depends what kind of credentials they have. And in soccer, you have to have a ABC license, A Pro license, and so forth. A lot of those courses already apply psychology inside in the courses themselves. So the coach himself, it becomes already sooner ways equipped with the basic sports psychology part of it, right? But a lot of organizations in the world, they have a full-time staff who is sports psychologists. That's the only thing they're dealing with, and a performance. And particularly, you're talking about gender specific. There's a lot of gender specific question that comes in. The male and the female perform differently. They have a different need for the performance. The women are very logical person attaching a lot of emotions to it. The men are more physical and ego driven, where they need completely different applications for the drive. So to understand that aspect is extremely important, right? So yes, it's very important to do so, but you have to remember the NFL. It's one of the biggest rosters in any sports organization. There's a lot of players to manage. You got a lot of different units in the NFL. You have defensive coordinators. You have your safety, the coaches, and so forth and so forth. So, this entire coaching staff adding additional layer, they're already dealing with massive coaching staff. Now, how does sports psychologist, who can communicate to, who is in charge? You can't have your head coach and a manager to answer the questions in about psychology. His job is managers, coaching staff to perform. So the structure of the organization, it becomes extremely important.
Well, even with that, TJ, you talked about a metric. You are the metrics man. That's what y'all do. Just like you say, we use metrics all the time. All the time that we don't question. Is there a metric right now that the NFL is using that you think is going to be gone in the next 5 years? Something they use right now to measure players that, 5 years from now, that's going to be gone.
Oh, wow. You really like to put me on the seat. Wow, I didn't expect that one to come today. Oh, wow. Okay, well, let me think. Okay, the baseline testing, NFL who creating is the pioneer in the baseline testing. So NFL is already very innovative ahead of the lot of organizations and governing bodies in the world that we speak. Okay, so they're extremely sophisticated to what they do. And I believe, there's a reason why we do, without the split time and the 40 yards, we know the distance, the average distance run by the football players, change of directions, vertical catching. I don't think they would disappear, but I think it's gonna be innovation is one of those metrics. It's gonna be something added in where we're gonna break it down to have more details about it. So, for example, explosiveness in the first 10 yards, right? So we have it, and then split time between the runs, where we have change of directions and losing the power transfer of power of directions on a run. So I think the metric is going to improve. They're not going to disappear. That would be my best answer.
Okay. No, I like that. Because obviously, metrics more than we do. I was just saying because you look at the kickoff. Now they don't let you run 40 yards. You got to stand, 10 yards in between each other.
Yeah.
They kind of cut down on them collisions. I'm just saying because the NFL knows that whatever they do, college is gonna probably end up implementing high school, middle school.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So I was just asking, is that something that you've seen? Because when I was in the NFL, there were no blue tents. Like, you get knocked out, they bring you to the sideline, where they'll say stuff like, "Hey, Ben, hey, Marvin, what's your name?" "Hey, Ben, hey, Marvin, what is your name?" "My name Ben, right?" "Hey, how many, do you see 2 fingers? How many?" Because the thing about the NFL, it's all about the position you play, how much you make, and your level of importance. Because when I got hurt my second year, I got drafted with this guy named Bo Schobel. We both got drafted at the same time, but I was a second-round pick. We're on the same trainer's table, hearing 2 different conversations from the same coach. The coach tells me, "Hey, Ben, take your time. We'll see you in the, you're going to miss training camp. Get back." He told Bo, "You need to hurry up and get back. You need to do all you can to get back." Now, we both probably need the same amount of time, but our salaries, importance, draft placement dictated. And that's the only reason why I was asking you these questions, because, in the NFL, you will get treated fairly. You will not get treated equally. That's not going to happen. And the problem is, a Tom Brady in 2026 at 199 won't get the same leeway that he did back then. Now, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's the hardest barometer to do. But I'm just saying, if I got metrics saying I need this is what my metrics say I need, depending on who I am, position I play, how much money I make, will determine, will they give me those metrics, or will they say, well, Patrick Mahomes don't get every metric. He'll get a metric ain't even invented. They will invent a metric for him, but he's Patrick Mahomes. What about the players? What about the 53rd man on the roster who's a play away? He needs those metrics. And yet these coaches, man, because like I say, when I respect these coaches, but I know them. And some of them, you would think the Browns head coach would use, TJ, he need every metric you got and Jesus. They still not going to win, but they need every metric you got. You would think those type of coaches, because you said something I ain't never heard. He said, look, some of these teams don't even need to be in the league. They need to be gone. They need to be out. They don't win anything. They're just collecting checks. I just think about, that concept of having something that you have that's not rooted in opinion. That's not rooted in theology. This is the metrics say. This is what it is. Wes Welker went undrafted in my draft. Like I got drafted 2004. He didn't even get drafted. And you see what he went on to become. I'm just saying having something like this to where, I gotta go see my primary care doctor, in a little bit. Whatever that lady says, who am I to question it? But she ain't just being based off what I think, based off your reports, your data. And I'm only saying, TJ, a person like you is necessary in professional sports because the one thing you hear a coach say to a player, take the thinking out of it. Don't think about it. Just perform. Just compete. This taking the thinking out of it, but coaches are experts at evaluating talent and coaching talent. They are not experts at metrics at all. But you would think they were if you talk to them now. I talk to TJ. Yeah, but let me tell you what I think. If TJ had a team, if you are the 33rd team in the National Football League, how would your team look? I know it's going to be competitive, but how would a TJ-led professional football team look in a league that does not like nuance? The NFL, we ahead of everybody as far as like other professional sports in America, but they don't like nuance. They don't like nothing that they can't take credit for. If they can't take credit for, that's why NFL Europe is no longer. They took it away because it wasn't making money. It was very competitive, very entertaining. But how would a TJ led? This is I don't know. You call your team what you want. The TJ football team. Call it what you want. How would your team look in today's NFL with everything and the metrics to back it up?
Well, I think that the most important aspect, I think, is what you have to kind of really address is here think about the draft day, the movie. Okay, think about the draft day, and then think about the Cleveland Browns. Okay, Cleveland Browns over the years, let's make a lot of questionable decisions in the way how they manage their organization. Okay, and based on the facts, sometimes you're talking about that 53rd player that he's important or not, right? And objectivities of it, how to coach, winning to coach those athletes. My question to this coach would be very simple before I can address how my team is going to look at it. You brought this 53rd player for a reason. Why he's here. You have to see some type of value why you brought him. So you can't tell me this player is without a value. Is there not a hundreds of thousands of dollars in the 503 million people in the United States? That athlete has a value because he's one of the 53 who is on that roster, right? So in the end of the day, if he wasn't important, he wouldn't be there in the first place. So when you tell me, so well, I'm not gonna give that priority to that 53rd athlete. You maybe don't need him today. Maybe you're not gonna need him tomorrow. But in a day when he's going to bail your ass out because he's going to come on this field and going to do shit what other people can't or do, then you're going to pretty quickly understand his value. And I'm going to give you the example of Los Angeles Galaxy and U.S. national soccer team. I had an opportunity to do my the USSF, U.S. Soccer Federation goalkeeping pro license and a Home Depot Center in California. And one of the key speakers in some of the symposium what we had there, he was Bruce Arena, the coach of the Galaxy and a national team. He made the very questionable decisions based on the switching the goalkeeper in the World Cup in Germany in 2006 against Portugal. He took the Tim Howard out and put a freedom into the game. Tim Howard was undefeated. The metrics, you're taking the best chance you have to win. You take him out of the lineup, and now you have 500 million people questioning your decision. If you're looking in depth, why he made this decision? Because Freedom has a better distribution, and Portugal played his defensive line extremely high. So the distribution from the floor will be way better from the team. Howard's plays a position. And that's what he needed, based on the scouting reports what he received. So in the end of the day, US ended up losing the game 2-1. And everybody started questioning him after the fact, not before, after the fact, why he did this. The problem what the people didn't take into consideration, US has a 3 breakaways who didn't contact it on any of them. So the system of coaches work, the execution of the athletes didn't. What is a very different thing altogether. Right? So the part of it is, because we know what to do, we have a lot of variable factors and pieces who moves around. So coming back to your decisions about the football team, if you see in the NFL and you have all the teams combined, each of those teams has a different identity. None of the teams are the same because the athletes are not the same. The quarterbacks are different. Some of them playing in a pocket. Some of them are very mobile. Some of them can have a hard throw. Not some of them get a great pass movement. Some of them are agile or not. The aspect of it, how I will build the team, is the athletes who be available to me. I will adapt this system to the athletes I have, not the other way around. Like I can't put the system. So, for example, I have Edmonton players trying to play Barcelona's football style. I don't have people with that technique abilities to execute that tactics. It's never going to happen. But that's a lot of coaches do it. They go on the internet, they rip the page out of the book, they try to run the practice who is designed for the professional athletes. They try to do it with a community-based team. That's absurd. That's unacceptable. That's a youth development. Is the same aspect what you're talking about before you have NFL. If you're looking at your football development through the high school levels you have, because you guys are extremely strong in the high school levels, then you have your NCAA, then you have the draft, and you got a super draft and it goes to NFL. When you take a look at it, this particular athletes can play safety in this organization, but comes to this coach and see him, as a tailback. Oh, he goes in a running back. So the running back. So suddenly, this coach has a completely different vision what his athlete was designed for, right? And stuff. So now he sees them in a different vision. The question would be this: did this athlete do you recruit him based on when you see him? Can he execute the job? What you have for him, and he's versatile to learn. And so, bulk story is like if you give me the athletes and I look at who they are, and I can tell you roughly what type of team we're gonna have. Or if you try to build it from the scratch, then you have to make me general manager, and I'm gonna come and recruit the athletes, right? To the things what I need. But as a blank of this, like the best coaches in the world, Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho, do you know his lifespan as a coach is 3 years? 3 years. He comes the first year, he dismantled the teams because he doesn't like what he has. The second year, he goes and wins the Champions League, and the third year, he gets fired because his ego is too high. And he goes to the next team and repeating the same cycle. And he makes him the most successful coach in the world. Right? That's his style. So in your organization, if you look into Cleveland Browns, when they have this draft, like for years they couldn't do anything. And a part of it is sometimes the one things can change the organization. We're talking about organization. We're talking about the generational player, who that player would be, and would build his entire infrastructure around that athlete, right? So then you got to take a look at it. You say, well, if we're building around this quarterback or this safety or this, whatever you have, the receiver, then you're gonna have to build your structure around them, right? And so it's not as easy in 2+2. The metrics will allows you to give you probabilities, but they won't win on its own. There's too many factors involved, right?
Gentlemen, anything more before we let Tomaz enjoy the rest of his morning?
I mean, I thought he was thorough. No, seriously, he was thorough.
Thank you, kindly. Really appreciate it. And like anytime you need help with your son, we can test them virtually, man. I will be more than happy to do it.
I would love for you to do that.
I would do that.
I would love for you to do that.
Man. We can because you know why I'm saying this? Because you're professional athletes, and I know you're not gonna lie to me with the metrics.
Man, I would love for that.
Yeah,
I'm sure both Ben and Marvin has some kids that
that's right. And so,
inside the tree
I think we can put them in a system. I give you the combine we're gonna run. Let's just put them into it. Let's generate the metrics over time, and you let me know. You're gonna be the judge if they work them out.
Okay, I'm gonna get your information.
I'll shoot you his number when we get off of here, Marvin.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Well, yeah, as a gentleman, it was absolutely the greatest pleasure to be here. I love the stuff. I hope one day we're gonna have opportunity to talk more about sports. But that was the most fun I had for the longest time.
Yeah, man. Listen, like I was telling you before we hopped on here, we just think of this as a bunch of old friends getting together, catching up, and we like to keep this as loose, as fun as we can. And under all probabilities, we probably could have talked for another hour about sports.
No, that's okay.
But Tomaz, what I typically do here at the end is I kind of throw the proverbial microphone over to you. Anyone like to thank? Shoot out your social media sites. Let everyone know where they can get in touch with you, where they could reach out and connect with you to have a either future athlete or already athlete having a closer look taken by you and your team. The time is yours, my friend.
The one thing what I'm gonna say is I want to thank you, the Fight the most important. This is the people who really believes in the program, and they definitely promote me last. But only thing I can say, I love what I do. I'm looking forward to seeing 2027 with a commercial version. We're gonna finish our testing for this year. And I love helping athletes, I love helping coaches and organizations. That was my passions always, and I hoping it's going to be a day where people will take advantage of it and really work together for the best part of the sports. And always keep athletes in your mind first, because they're the one the most important from anybody else. Without athletes, we have no sports.
I agree, my friend. We have to take the athletes first. And it's always, I'll always be pro athlete here before I'll be pro promoter, pro league, etc. The athletes, you guys never get the attention, enough of the love that some of you deserves. And even cases with Ben and Marvin, I still think people don't give them the respect they deserve for the time they put in the sport. They may not been the biggest names on their teams, but I just think the little things that matter, the little notorieties here and there matters. So Tomaz, appreciate your time. I'll definitely shoot both them your information and you theirs.
So,
Tomaz, you're going to hear from me, man. I'm
serious. I'm serious, man. I'll be honored if I can help both of you and we can run the pilot projects together. Yeah. I'll be honored to do it. I will put my best foot, and I think will be incredible journey and something what will really help you to understand what I do. It's nothing better when you actually understand what I do versus just in a conversation, right?
All right, just to give you a heads up, my son wants to be a tight end, so I'm trying to make the next. I'm trying to build the next Ben Troupe. You know what I'm saying? I need me an All-American like Ben. You know what I'm saying?
He'll be way better than me. Listen, he got that bloodline, man. If he gonna be a fullback / offensive lineman in the form of a tight end.
Fullback is dead. They didn't kill the fullback.
Man. This kid, I wouldn't like to grow up under his pressure, man. This is lots to live up to, man.
Yeah, he's got 3 different generations of pals in front of him.
I know.
He's got a mountain to climb.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Well, gentlemen, it was absolutely the pleasure. I'm looking forward to hear from you guys. Let's get together anytime, and absolutely was a pleasure to be with you guys.
Right on.
Pleasure having you on, Tomaz. I'll shoot when we get off of here. I'll shoot you everyone's information. So
thank you guys. Really appreciate it. All the best, and have a wonderful day.
You too, my friend.
Take care.
All right, everyone. That was Tomaz Janas. I think he's gonna have something to offer a lot of sports. It's gonna be definitely fun seeing when he gets out of that, I guess, pilot stage, and he kind of really launches this thing. How it'll help teams, it'll help athletes. I thought it was a great time to have him on talk. BS have some fun on here and learn a little bit. Like I said, I definitely look forward to hearing the feedback from you two about his programs with the younger athletes as you guys go along with.
That's where the money will come in. I mean, professional athletics is the highest of the high, especially when you're trying to implement stuff. But players, yes, I do agree with Tomaz. Most kids ain't gonna get what Marvin's son is getting because this ain't opinion I'm giving you, son. You know what I'm saying? Coming from your grandfather, but the quicker. Listen, man, it's like my bishop said at church. He said, you want to handle problems at the most minute level. You want to handle them at the smallest level. Because by the time they get big, especially with a young man, the quicker you tell them, look, you want the truth or you want opinion. This is what the data says. This is what the metrics say. And guess what? Just imagine if every time, Marvin's son come in and I got a graph saying, look, remember I told you wasn't moving, running as fast? Look. Like everybody wants to be that kid that you see them you see the treadmill going like 20 some miles an hour and they'll get on the real fast. You can't do that before what 6-7 seconds. You can't, but at the same time, if I'm saying, hey, this is what the metrics say to be a good tight end. This is what the metrics say to be a great tight end. This is what the metrics say to be a Hall of Fame tight end. But I need something to push myself. I need something to look at. And I'm not talking about YouTube videos because all these receivers that's doing these Michael Jackson Thriller releases, you don't see them on Saturday and Sunday, do you? You notice that the best receivers don't make videos? Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, the monster, because they go, bruh, I need somebody in front of me. Put them in front of me. So I do like metrics and I do like data. Because it ain't gonna lie. You might not like what it says, but that's you. So yeah, man. I always look at it as I'd rather go at the high school youth level. I got a plethora. I got so many people that I can because Pat Mahomes might say no. He might say yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's one dude. I'd rather have, yeah, man, I got a camp. My son went to the Manning Passing Academy. And if you want your son to go to the Manning Passing Academy, it is not cheap. My son went twice. Here's the thing. My son out there with like 1,500. There's a bunch of freaking quarterbacks out there. I asked my son one question. How they going to remember you? And he couldn't. See, how they going to remember you? See, and to me, that's what you want. Marvin want to be remembered. I don't care if I play one down or a Hall of Fame career. You want to be, so when people say, hey, man, I played against you at SC, that conversation can go for 2 hours. Why? Because you want to be remembered. And everybody ain't going to be no Hall of Fame, but that's the rarest of the rare in sport. But do I want to be remembered for something I did? Hell yeah. I mean, it don't got to be, you notice me on the street, but you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, so that's you want to know why players really play? I want to be remembered by the players I went up against, and I want to be remembered by a couple of people. I want to be remembered by a weirdo that saw me in Walgreens and saw me pull out my idea and said, that's you for real? Yeah, you did. Because that's enough. You ain't going to. Now, when I say weirdo, I mean weirdos that I can agree with, not real weirdos, not the one. Go on, man. Go on with that craziness. But yeah, man, I like people like TJ. But TJ need to know. Just because you on the staff don't mean you get to speak in the meetings. There's a bunch of people on the staff, but if they do the team meeting or the staff meeting, and you the guy, if you this guy, hey man, what's your name? Yeah, like the Moneyball guy. Everybody don't want the Moneyball guys. You think you want that, and while I got to listen, everybody got something to say about Nolan Smith, man. I didn't know cars could go that fast. Leave that man alone. He'll be fine.
I was wondering if you won't touch on that because it already came out.
Oh my God.
It already all over social media. Obviously, the Eagles' streak of not having any arrested players on the roster is over. As our good friend Nolan Smith made a dumb decision last night.
I mean, look.
You've already talked about it. Go talk to Fletch. Go to Echo Raceway, man. What are you doing?
100 135, boy, he was zooming. He was. Let me say this, man, and Marvin can speak to this. There is a difference with being 25 and having money in your pocket and being 25. And for everybody to say, well, he needs to know he is still. I'm not making excuses. Let me say this. I'm not making excuses for him. But Marv, Steve, you in a car, you jump in that thing. That thing say 220 on the dash. Yeah. It got 220 on that. Yeah. When you first driving, you go, and one day you gonna hit it just to see, right? Once again,
yes, it
I'm
can.
just saying, man, I'm not condoning what he did, but you would have think this boy just killed somebody. The way social media be reacting, oh, no, this is not going to be the downfall of the
waiting
Eagles
for them
people.
to bring up JC, man, because you know what's going to happen. Oh, the boys down in Georgia, man, they're always speeding.
Man, it's not. I will say this. Back when the Camaros first came out, you know, the style they got now, you know, when the Transformers first came out, and I was like, oh man, that's nice. You know what I'm saying? I've always been a Transformers fan, so you know, I said I got to get one of them. And you know, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You know, I was being a clown. I had the 2SS Camaro. I had the stick. I had the one. I had it.
Okay,
but I said, no, I know me. So I said, all right. I took it back. And I got the 2SS, but I got the automatic because I know, and that if I get that manual,
I'm gonna be running around like crazy.
Well, exactly. So like most people, right? I want to know. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it in the city. Well, you know, in Tampa where I'm living, but I mean, I'm at my parents' crib. They got this straightaway. You know what I'm saying? It's like this little blinking light. And I said, man, I ain't finna have this car. And I know, boy, I hit it. Boy, I got to about 100 and you can't even feel it. I got up to about I was at like 128, 129, and it felt like the car was coming off the ground. I just took my foot off the gas. Listen, and that's the fastest car I've ever been in driving. I got up about 129. I'm not saying try it, but try it. I'm not saying try it, but if you can, if you can, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't this Nolan. I met Nolan Smith when he came out. When that Joker came out to go to Georgia, because he went to he was down there at in Bradenton at IMG. He was like number 1, number 2 overall recruit or whatever. That boy was going 135. I'm gonna tell people this. He could have been going faster than that. The police had to, the police like, boy, if you don't, you know, and the only reason why the police called him because they got radios. It ain't because they got that chip. They got radios. I mean, he about to be up to y'all about 45 seconds. This boy moving. So I'm not condoning it, but come on, man. He's a young boy driving fast, man.
What about
hopefully
you,
he'll
Marvin?
learn.
Your thoughts on Nolan Smith,
That's just young. So this is the first time I'm hearing of it. But, you know, to Ben's point, this ain't murder. You know what I'm saying? With that said, listen, all over the country, every night, you know, you got people, you know, doing their thing on these dirt roads, testing out their Mustangs, their engines. I don't condone it. I think it's wild and crazy, but this is what it is when you're young. To Ben's point, this is what it is when you're young with a pocket full of money, a whole lot of confidence. You know, you feel when you're that young, you feel invincible. You
Come
feel
on.
like, you know, you feel like death. Nah,
Yeah.
what's that? You know what I'm saying? You know. So like, I get all that, Vince. I get all that. You know what I mean? I didn't been there in my time as a young man. I know what that is, but he'll grow out of that. You know, he'll grow out of that.
Listen, I'm not
This ain't a character issue. This ain't
Nolan one of the best teammates. Yeah, I mean, why do we do that though, right? Like, I mean, not saying, okay, Marv, if you had a Lambo, if you had a Ferrari, right? If you had one, right, you gonna hit it sometimes, right? You ain't gonna hit it all the time. Listen. You drop off the kid, you drop off the wife. Oh, sweetie, I left something. I got to go get something. All right, come right back. All right, and she get out, go in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, we ain't going. That's like saying, man, come on, man. Like, you got a real nice boat, and my boat just happened to be the nicer one out there. I ain't gonna show it off. I ain't gonna. Come on, people be acting. Look, if you've never been in these situations, just say that. But if you had a chance to do it, you're gonna do it, and you ain't gonna do it all. The thing about Nolan, he got caught. You don't think other players in the NFL don't went that fast? They ain't got caught, especially out there in Arizona, the Autobahn. What? You know they out there hitting it. So Nolan, Georgia got too many cops, brother. Come on now, you know it. You from the state. Stop playing. But for those people trying to crucify this boy, stop it, man. Stop looking for. Listen, these are a bunch of Giants, Commanders, and Dallas Cowboy fans. They pissed. They still gonna beat y'all. You think they're gonna still beat y'all? Stop it.
Yeah. I think it is what it is. You know, this is par for the course. You know, I mean, Henry Ruggs is the ultimate, you know, telltale sign of what not to do. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't hurt anybody. He wasn't drunk. Let's leave it what it is. It's just being a young man, just feeling his vehicle. It happens. We all do it. We all want to pin the speedometer. Everyone always does it, especially when you're that age. So I'm not going to go over it, but we were just talking about being remembered, right? This past weekend was the Netflix premiere of the MVP Promotions MMA event, and they delivered. They brought in the most views for an MMA event. It peaked at 17 million. It was about a little bit over 11 throughout the show itself. But a lot of people are running their mouths on social media this week, right? And I love what Shayna Baszler said about it. Everyone's sitting there, oh, it's a work. How do y'all forget things? Like 17 seconds is par for the course. That's not even her fastest win. She has a 14-second win over Kat Zingano. She has another 16 win over Alexa Davis. She has 5 other wins under 30 seconds or more. Ben, me and you talked about this. This was going to happen. This was always going to happen.
Yeah.
So
you'll never see that level of impact from a woman athlete like in a sport like that. Like I'm not saying she ain't nobody Serena. I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? But Ronda Rousey has been a headliner since she been in MMA. That's all she knows. Like you don't know. She's been Floyd Mayweather from the time she started MMA. And if anybody thought it was going to end any way other than that, have you seen Ronda Rousey?
I think my only surprise is that Ronda got it to the ground via a normal wrestling takedown instead of her typical get in, lock up, judo throw.
She's the mother now, man. Listen, that's mother
guys,
now.
hold on. The other chick, she ain't fought in like almost 20 years.
17 years. It was
what I'm saying. Like, what did you think it was going to look like from her? When she came out the locker room and they said, yeah, she hasn't fought in 17 years. I was like, oh, what's a wrap? You don't just walk into something like this.
Listen, we all knew 17 this was going to happen. Anyone who watched combat sports on a regular basis, we knew this was going to be the result.
Yeah.
Gina Carano already won just the simple fact that a year ago she was weighing almost 240 pounds. The fact that she weighed in at 140 some odd pounds a year later.
Oh yeah, she should be commended. She definitely should be commended. We ain't mad. And look, and to all the guys that got something to say, forget 17 years. What you think gonna happen to you? You try to do anything like you used to do. It is going. Like my daddy said, when the last time you just sprinted or like just took off? No, you ain't. Not none of y'all. You just took off. I guarantee you. That hammy gonna say, whoa. So all I'm saying is, everybody got something to say. That is the greatest women's MMA fighter ever. That's who she is. That's who Ronda Rousey is.
Ben, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, man. I don't get this. Oh, and here's the thing. To y'all guys that be judging y'allself now on going against former athletes, so you want to get at me when my athlete days are over. Well, if it's going to make you feel good, sir, cool. But guess what? I would have effed you up back then. You just effing me up right now. Cool. I ain't mad at you. But you're going to sound crazy. You're going to sound crazy. So,
what were you trying to say, Marvin?
And I was going to say, I mean, look, I haven't been in the NFL since 2001. If someone called me up after 17 years, so like, hey, can you run it back one more time? We need you to get low. What? Listen, the NFL, MMA, these is young people sports. These is
Facts.
young people sports. Okay, you better respect that. You
Ain't
can't
no,
go out
no, no,
there.
no, 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 no. This what you really gonna say. What that check looking like, bro? And is the check guaranteed? And here's the thing: is the check good? Is it guaranteed? How many plays? Marv, we need an ISO. All right, who am I ISOing against? You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. At a certain point, my son will be 17 tomorrow. At a certain point, we ain't gonna be better than our sons no more. And you know what we're gonna use? Our age. We're gonna say, oh, that's it'll make you feel good now that you can outdo an old man. That's what it means. Now, right now, my son, now he can throw that thing. I'm not gonna let him outdo me, but he's gonna be 17 years young, man. I ain't messing with that youngin'. I'm gonna let that boy, I'm gonna talk trash about what I would have done. Marv is basically saying, if the wifey approve and the check good, and I don't got to do but one, listen, my regular shoes on the sideline. No, I'm gonna do the one play. I'm putting the hat on. What you mean? I'm not. Football is the ultimate young man's game. I don't know about basketball. Football, bruh. This how you know. Hey man, how do you recover? Oh man, I just go home. Not when you in your 30s. What you mean? That's how you learn about acupuncture, massages. You know what I'm saying? You ain't do that stuff when you was in your 20s, Mom. And I could go get right and go to the club after the game. You can't do that in your 30s, though.
Nah.
You can't do that. So yeah.
All right. Now, this one's from Marvin. 100 days to go, brother.
Yeah,
100
I
days
saw
to
that
go.
earlier. Can't wait.
100 days to go. I know you love the NFL, but I know college is really where your true loyalties lie. How excited are you that we are basically 3 months away now?
Man, listen, I'm really excited. For me, as a SC fan, SC alum, we hired Lincoln Riley 4.5 years ago, and in the first 4 seasons, no playoffs, nothing like that. We won a Heisman, we got a number 1 pick, and that kind of stuff matters at USC. Those metrics matter, those trophies matter. But at the end of the day, if you ain't in the playoffs, if you ain't competing for the title, what are you doing? This is after we've given him $100 million. And we spending about 30-40 million on our roster now. So yeah, I'm excited about what what we're going to put out there. We got some big games this year. Ohio State's coming to the Coliseum. We're going to Indiana. Oregon's coming to the Coliseum, and we got expectations, man. So trust me, I saw that 100-day thing earlier this morning, and I can't wait. I mean, I just can't tell you how excited I am because for USC, we got a squad coming back. We do. We're returning.
Yeah, they looking nice over there.
Listen, I got expectations. I got major expectations this year. Lincoln Riley has to win a playoff game, and I don't mean against JMU and Tulane. I don't mean against them.
You got to be a major school this season.
And nothing against y'all smaller schools. Listen,
the Gators, the Canes,
I like
Longhorns. We got to beat one of them for me to look at this dude and be like, okay, you finally get it. So
okay.
No. This is what Marv is really saying. We can rep the Jets and the Titans, and that's cool. That's cool. When it comes to your college team, that's where the trash talk. If Marv saw a dude walking down the street wearing UCLA stuff, he gonna pull over. Yo, where you at, bro? You know where you at? You rep them? For real? And listen, NFL, I get it. College, you can't turn it off, bro. From these players and these coaches. When Lincoln Riley left Norman, Oklahoma, and went to freaking Southern California, I say, what? Really? And I'm like you, Marv. Hey, Lincoln, boy, they gave you too much, boy. They gave you 80 acres. They gave you 100 mules. They gave you everything. Everything. And they bought both of your houses in Norman. They gave you an extra meal to buy both of your cribs in Norman. Don't your wife and kids got 24-hour access to the private jet? I'm not saying I know your contract. I'm just saying I know a little bit about it. Well, I want that return on investment. And Caleb Williams can't save you. Lemon and Malachi, they can't save you. You got to, yeah. They want that Reggie Bush, Lindell White, Matt Leinart era back. And if that happens, cancel Christmas. If that happens, if that happens, because I watch the boys on TV.
College. I got one for Ben. Ben likes to do this. Somebody gonna have to get up for the seat, right? Well, how about this one? You pick who gets left without a seat, Ben.
7 running backs, 3 gets left behind.
You got Saquon, Jahmyr Gibbs, Taylor.
To me,
I'll tell you that. I think this
was. You know what? Let's see. Oh man, that's easy. Sorry, man. I mean, you got to show me a little more. I know he only been in that 1 year, but Genty got to show me a little more. I mean, because everybody else, 2,000-yard rusher, Jahmyr Gibbs about to get, you know what I'm saying, the front row seat for first team All-Pro right there with Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor. I mean, one of the best backs. A-Chain just got paid. That man got cheese, if you didn't see. So Ashton Genty, love the silver and black, play for the silver and black. You got to show it to me, youngin. But the best on that list, man, I mean, Bijan probably the most talented on that list for what he can do, but I ain't never seen nothing like Derrick Henry. I mean, the fact that he coming for that, he ain't gonna get that rushing title, but I think he coming for Frank Gore. I think he want to be third all time in rushing. He ain't gonna get. I
think he's gonna get.
Frank. He ain't gonna get Emmett.
He's gonna get Frank.
But no, man. I mean, look, but all those boys are very, 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 very good. But I'm gonna tell you who you gonna have to add on to Jeremiah Love. That boy, they can play, boy.
We'll find out. We're gonna see if he can run in Arizona, man. I don't think
he can run in Arizona. Can they run with him?
I don't think he got enough around him, man.
I agree with you.
Josh Sweats put his hand up and was like, I'm good. I don't want no part of this. Get me out of here.
Jacoby Brissett.
Has he signed yet? Did he re-sign his deal?
Well, he ain't coming to. I mean, he want more money. And Carson Beck is the freaking
who? Who?
That's your backup.
Carson Beck was their quarterback they drafted in the first round this year.
No, he got him in the third. All right, they got Jeremiah Love in the first.
They drafted in the draft.
Yeah. Carson Beck is your backup. Jacoby Brissett. Nothing screams. We don't care.
All right, you think that's funny? I got one really to make you laugh. Remember how we were talking last week, right? We talking about LeBron, right?
Yeah.
So somebody made a stupid comment this week because obviously we know Wembanyama has been having an amazing playoff run so far. He's 22 years old. And this TV analyst basically said that he's already better than LeBron's entire career. Ladies, please stop.
We don't listen. I'm not gonna do LeBron's this
biggest fan, but the fact that you're telling me a 22-year-old who's only been in the league at less than a handful of years is already better than 20+ year LeBron James. Stop playing with me. I'm going to go right to the source on this one. Marvin, man, can you straighten this lady out? Because Wembanyama is an amazing talent. He's going to be the best center in basketball within the next 5 years. He is not even in the same universe as what LeBron James is.
Yeah, I could take this a lot of different ways. Who I don't know who that person was who said that. The lady, the female, Anna who. Casper Periani
Casper Periani, that's it.
Yeah, I've never heard of her. And when you make comments like this, you're going to be further and further down the totem pole. That's just ridiculous. LeBron James is in the conversation of, is he the greatest ever? That's the conversation he's in, okay? Whether you think he is or he isn't is irrelevant. But there are many people who believe that it's a real conversation based upon the numbers, the records, the championships, the longevity, and you could put up a credible argument for LeBron being the best, even if you don't believe that. So for her to come out there and say something like that, this is how you lose credibility fast. This is how you hurt, a lot of up and coming, journalists and females who trying to, gain respect. That's stupid. That's just dumb. That's the all-time leading scorer. That's been there for 30 years.
I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna go because I gotta go see this doctor of mine. Wemby won defensive player of the year, right? They got this thing in the NBA called All NBA teams, right? They got first team, they got second team, they got third team. Wemby didn't make none of them. He didn't make first. He didn't make second. You know who's on second team All NBA? That would be this dude named LeBron. You mean to tell me LeBron made second team All NBA in this year? I've been in the league longer than this boy been alive. Stop playing. LeBron James, to me, we talk about him like he ain't 41. We talk about him like he ain't just made it to the second round in the playoffs, right? But here's the thing, right? I would ask Wemby, hey Wemby, yeah. If LeBron opts out, would you want him to come to the Spurs? Hell yeah. What? LeBron James come? What? Ask him. Yeah. Oh, so you would want to play with LeBron? Yes. Why? Because everywhere LeBron goes, he what? He wins a chip. Everywhere he goes, he wins a chip. You don't got to like it. KD, when last time you won a chip? When I was in Golden State. Dwight Howard, do you got a chip? Yep. How? LeBron James. Oh, Kyrie Irving, you got a chip? Yeah. How? LeBron James. Chris Bosh, how you got LeBron? Man, we don't got it. Whoever you are, man, I hope you get your clickbait. I hope it works for you. Things like better than LeBron, those sentences don't even exist. There are a couple people you Mike could say. Mike, 100%. Kobe, I get it. That's it. You can't say nobody else. And guess what? If people don't like the fact, people saying LeBron need to go home. Did Chris Berman go home? Did he still work at ESPN? How old is he? I'm just saying. Is Al Michael still working on TV? How old is he? So when I'm great at something, I don't leave. They pay me to stay. So Luka, I hope it was nice playing with LeBron because he's gonna be somewhere else. And if the Clippers ever gonna win a chip, LeBron got to play for him. Because without LeBron, it's the Clippers. Man, look, I love y'all boys. I got to get ready to get out of here.
Yeah, we're about to close it down anyways. Final thoughts, brother. Get it going.
Man, listen, Marvin Powell for Hall of Fame. LeBron James. Stop playing. What are we doing?
I thought I was only going to get Marvin riled up. We got Ben riled up too.
The LeBron James slander. LeBron James slander to me is like Jalen Hurts slander to you.
Yeah.
I think Jalen's got enough Hall of Fame quarterbacks defending him at this point in time. You don't need to hear nothing from me. Who was the latest one? Was it Troy Aikman coming out defending him now? Like, come on.
Cause they know he probably gonna win another one.
But final thoughts, Marvin.
Yeah, listen, you said it, 100 days till college football. I'm counting them down. In the meantime, y'all can catch me on social media, Marvin Powell III, Marvin on the mic. I'm writing articles every single day for Roundtable Sports. And you can catch me on, you can just Google me for my Yahoo articles that I'm writing and catch me on with USCJ as well.
All right, gentlemen, another one in the books. I'm Steve. That's Marvin. That's Ben. This is another episode of The Fan in the End. We will catch you guys next week, my friends. Peace on out.